Hello everyone, welcome back to me feeling an emotion for the first time in 4 years, where today we're going to be talking about the Prismatic subclass coming with Final Shape that Bungie talked about in their Vidoc reveal very recently. We got a little bit of a teaser, we got some gameplay preview of it, and we talked about it a little bit during yesterday's video. But today, Bungie has put out a more complete article on the experience that we'll be getting with Prismatic subclasses. So let's take a look. So, this is what it's going to look like. And I feel like it's going to be much easier for me to just talk over this image than it is reading a whole bunch of this text. So essentially, Prismatic is the ability to combine different parts of different subclasses into one subclass. But you're not getting everything from every subclass, as we're going to go over. They have these charts here that go over what starting abilities you're going to have, and then what eventually you will be able to unlock down the road. And as you can see here, Hunter, much like the other two classes, they only have one thing from each subclass. Now, the supers, like, okay, that's not a big deal. And movements and the class abilities, okay, fine. But then you can only choose from certain grenades, for example, like Solar Grenade, you can only have Swarm Grenade, right? You can only have Dusk Field, you can only have Grapple, you can only have Magnetic. Same for the aspects. They chose one from each, and that's what you get to work with. So it is not the full package of every single aspect in the game, because I'm sure Bungie wanted maybe a bit of a slower rollout. I wouldn't put it past them to be like, let's start, let's start simple. Let's start with one, and then maybe once we iron things out, we see where the issues are, then they can start to add more, right? It wouldn't surprise me if that never happened, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did happen, right? If we started to get more and more aspects thrown into Prismatic subclasses. This is just another part of like the whole argument of, oh, why would anyone run with just a regular subclass ever again when you could do Prismatic and have everything? You can't have literally everything. Bungie goes on to elaborate here. As part of this, some of the abilities we've chosen are ones we think have been underused since their initial release and have exciting interactions with the rest of the roster. In many cases, we've adjusted how certain aspects function to specifically enable these unique interactions. Well, look, I can tell you why Swarm Grenade is underused in PvE, okay? It's because it's not very good, okay? But I mean, most of the other things for like Hunter, like Arc Bolt's fine, Dustfield's very good, Grapple's very good, Magnetic's fine. So Bungie also mentions, right off the rip here, from the very first mission of the Final Shape, you will have access to a complete starting Prismatic build with a set of light and darkness abilities, aspects, and a full set of fragments. So again, you're starting with Golden Gun, Silence and Squall. You will unlock things over time if you're a hunter. You get all the class abilities, you get all of the movement modes, and then a couple of different aspects. And then you'll unlock things over time. I think Bungie really wanted to mention that right at the get-go, so that hopefully there's no like, oh my god, if they make Final Shape about becoming a Prismatic Guardian, I'm going to lose my mind because they did that with Strand and Lightfall. I think they got that feedback, so I'm hoping we don't have another situation like that. But we're going to have a good amount of things unlocked from the get-go that you'll be experimenting with, and that you'll be able to have, hopefully, throughout the entirety of Final Shape. None of this, oh, you have it, oh, you don't have it. Oh, you got it back, oh, you don't have it. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time like trying to theory craft what kind of builds each class is capable of right now. Like, I'm not going to just roll that one off the dome. So we'll probably have a lot more discussion over the next couple of months of like, what's going to be interesting, what kind of perk combinations and melee abilities and blah, blah, blah. Like, we'll talk about that over the coming months. But Hunters, this is what you're getting. Titans, this is what you're getting. And Warlocks, this is what you're getting. Just go to the Twid, read the abilities. I'll give you this brief synopsis that Bungie is giving about what the goals were for each class. So Prismatic Hunter is evasive and maneuverable, grappling around the battlefield, enables that maneuverability, with Winter Shroud providing a handy debuff. That Stylist Executioner, which now triggers by defeating an enemy afflicted by any subclass debuff, which you are going to see for all of the classes, right? Like Titan, for example, Diamond Lance, as one of their aspects. That triggers on any ability final blow. It's not just stasis, right? There needed to be that flexibility for all of the subclasses, because otherwise, it's like I can only get Diamond Lance if I hit with my Shiver Strike. Like, that's insane. So Titan, the Prismatic Titan, excels at disabling enemies to make them easy targets for high impact follow-ups. So you hit him with the Drangers, you hit him with a Shackle, Diamond Lance, and then you follow up with a Big Punch or a Big Punch. And then Warlocks, you guys are going to be based a decent amount on like summoning things. Like Bungie says, summoning a horde of Bleak Watchers and Hellions and Threadlings and all that kind of stuff. So again, you want to look at those abilities. You want to start theory crafting for yourself. Knock yourself out. That's something we're going to be doing over the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure I'll have some sort of like builds to prepare for final shape something. So also you might be seeing some of these abilities and being like, dude, like I don't want to use this. Like, this is not good at all. What are they doing? Bungie is going to be doing a tuning pass that they are going to share in more detail in the lead up to the final shapes release to make sure that all of the aspects and the fragments and the abilities actually feel good. So if you're worried about a particular ability or a particular aspect maybe not feeling too great, Bungie is aware. They're going to be making some tuning changes. Now, that could be in the negative as well. Like, something could be too powerful and they need to dial it back a little bit because it would just be too strong if it was just in its base form when combined with something else, whatever those examples might be. So here's some more commentary on unlocking the Prismatic subclass. You'll start with a fairly focused initial loadout. You'll quickly expand your toolset and possible combinations. As you continue through the Pale Heart of the Traveler, you'll uncover the remaining abilities and aspects and fragments as mission rewards, as well as unlocking them through post-campaign quests and as hidden collectibles in the world. There's no currency to earn to unlock these new build crafting elements. When you find a prismatic chest in the world or after a particularly tough battle, they're immediately granted and available for use. So no more stasis fragment thingies, no strand fragments. Were they even called? I don't even remember what they were called. No more currencies. You just find them. You unlock them. I think that's a very, very good change. I don't know how many people really had fun spending time on Neomuna just using Strand to unlock the rest of their Strand things or like whatever you needed to do. So that's a very, very good change there. And then again, Bungie reiterates the whole any damage type to proc a thing, not just Stasis, not just Void for Diamond Lance, Feed the Void, etc., etc. Stylist Executioner, any elemental debuff, not just Void, because you need to have some amount of flexibility in this, which is good. Next, we have the ability to go Transcendent, which is where you have to fill these two like miniature super meters underneath your big super meter. Like, one of them is for light energy, one of them is for dark energy, and you fill these exactly how you think that you would, right? You do light related things, you fill the light meter. You do dark related things, you fill the dark meter. If you use kinetic damage, like your kinetic weapon, you fill both of them at a reduced rate, but if one of them is full and one of them is not, then it's going to put all of that energy into filling the one that isn't. Again, that is with a kinetic weapon. Otherwise, Bungie wants you to, be weaving these abilities in and out as much as you can, really. If you just stick with like, oh, I'm only going to use my, I don't know why you would ever do that, but if you just stick with one alignment of ability, you're not really going to be able to go Transcendent. So getting familiar with the flow of ability usage and different damage types is going to be very, very important for going Transcendent, because when you do go Transcendent, you get a special grenade based on what class you are. So Hunters get a Stasis and Solar Grenade that sticks to surfaces or targets and then erupts into a slow storm, and then it explodes, making a cyclone of fire. Titans get a grenade that is Strand and Arc. So it does a suspending burst, and they take heavy damage over time and do jolting lightning to enemy targets. And then Warlocks get a grenade that is Void and Stasis. So on impact, it deploys a miniature black hole orbited by a halo of slowing ice, and then it implodes, suppressing and dealing heavy damage to all nearby targets. So these are very, very powerful effects. There's sort of like a miniature super. I think that's what Bungie said, is that there's a miniature super. Yeah, right here. It feels like a miniature super that's only readily available when your loadout and playstyle interweave light and darkness together in harmony. Being Transcendent also allows you to break the shields of special combatants standing in your way on your journey through the Pale Heart of the Traveler. So there might be some gameplay mechanic revolving around this. These combatants have been bound by the witness and invulnerable to incoming damage otherwise. Something to look out for. Now let's talk fragments. Obviously, we can't just like rip, a subset of fragments from each subclass and then dump them in, because that's just like not really that exciting. It wouldn't really flow well. So Bungie has made a bunch of new fragments that are either spin-offs or combinations of fragments that we already have, and then some of them are just completely new. You're going to be able to find or earn a total of 21 fragments, which is a sizable bump over the typical 14 to 16. Fragments in Prismatic are unlocked for all of your characters as soon as you unlock them. If you finish the campaign on your Hunter and you want to start your Titan, then your Titan is going to have all of the stuff already unlocked, good to go. You don't need to do it over again. Thank you. So here are some of the fragments that we are going to be getting, like Facet of Dominance, for example. Your Void Grenades weaken and Arc Grenades jolt targets. I mean, that's literally 2 fragments combined into one. This is like Spark of Shock, and then this is Echo of... Another one that I think is going to get a good amount of attention and is part of your starting kit is Facet of Dawn. Powered melee hits against targets make you radiant. Powered melee final blows make both you and nearby allies radiant. This is a spin-off of one of the solar fragments that gets used in almost every solar build. So you can kind of see what they're going for here. They're taking fragments from all of the different subclasses and making them a bit more homogenized so that they work with everything. And they're also making little tweaks here and there. Some things might be too strong if they were just brought in as is. Maybe they buffed up some things. They also introduced some new things as well. So that's going to be fun to kind of experiment with as we go through the campaign. If you want to read all of them, I'm just kind of slowly scrolling through them on the screen here. But that is Prismatic. I think there is going to be a little bit of disappointment in the fact that you can only use a certain block of abilities. I think a lot of people were anticipating just full reign over everything. And after I was told by Cosmo with the whole exotic class item thing that exotic perks aren't literally ripped 1-to-1, I felt like something like that was also going to be happening for this. There was going to be something to kind of rein this in. You could also kind of tell that from the gameplay that they showed. Like, whenever they showed a Hunter, they had all the same abilities. Whenever they showed the Titan, they had all the same abilities every time. And I feel like if they were going to change things up and you were going to have access to more things, they would have shown that in the gameplay. But that still doesn't really change my excitement for trying out Prismatic, trying out a bunch of different builds, especially when you combine that with the exotic class item that's going to be able to get 2 different exotic perks that are sort of like half perks from any class and any exotic in the game. I assume any exotic, any class in the game. So I'm still excited to explore this space and what this means for gameplay because, it all looked really fun. Right? We go back to this gameplay here. Like, you just see someone spamming all of their abilities. What's gameplay going to look like in between all of your ability spam? It's probably going to look, pretty standard, where you're just using your guns and everything like that, and you're using your build to try to get your abilities back as fast as possible. But it's still a very, very interesting design space that I am looking forward to exploring. And it's going to, I think, shake things up in a really fun way for the build crafting world, like I said yesterday, where, things kind of recently have felt figured out. And with this and like randomly rolled class items, I think it's going to kind of give build crafting a bit of fresh air, which I really feel like it is or was going to need going into the future if we weren't going to be getting, I can't talk, if we weren't going to be getting new fragments or new aspects or news. I mean, we are getting new supers, but yeah, just pretty excited to explore this space. If you have like a build that you're already thinking about rolling with, drop it in the comments. Start sharing some of the love. I'm going to start looking over some things as well over the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it soon. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.